On the front lawn is an example of what you're going to see all across the country, where we set up cones for Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. And out there you're going to see 754 cones representative of individuals in 2018 that lost their lives, whether they were construction workers or travelers or inspectors for DOTD. Those are the aunts and uncles, sisters and brothers, the folks that we've lost that are no longer with us, that came to work that day and unfortunately did not make it home. Here in Louisiana, we accounted for 2 of those cones. And in addition to that, we've had over 519 injuries in construction zones in the 2018 year. And we typically have a gap in those terms just to be able to account for the data and have a complete year of collections. This week is actually the beginning of Work Zone Awareness Week, Work Zone Safety Awareness. It is the most important week for those folks who are in the construction business of roads, but also for maintenance and operations staff, not just with the Department of Transportation and Development, but also with local governments across the state of Louisiana. We ask folks, please do not drive distracted, whether that's a cell phone, consumption of alcohol, having kids in the car and not paying attention to what's necessarily in front of you. Be mindful that you are a weapon in many cases when you're driving that vehicle if you're not paying attention. And so we ask folks to obey the laws, be aware of your surroundings, make your plans for your route before you leave, and most of all, please buckle your seatbelt. Adhering to speed limits is a very important thing, and in construction zones we reduce those speed limits. We reduce that, and we have a number of technologies that are helping us do a better job, but it's really something we can't control, and that's driver behavior, things that you do in your vehicle. So just as a recap, buckle your seatbelts, put the cell phones down, do not drive distracted. That includes consumption of alcohol or drugs, and pay attention to what's in front of you. That's the most important thing that you can do.
What goes through your mind when you take a look at that volume of cones on the front lawn?
Well, you know, it sits outside my window, and every day when I walk into my office, I can't help but think of it and look at it. And while we put them out there just for 1 week, it's a constant reminder for us. I have on my desk the images of the 3 people who've lost their lives since I've been secretary, and that's not a very easy thing to do, to call a family and let them know their loved one's not coming home. If we don't take care of our people, that's our most important resource, and as secretary, that is my most important goal, is to make sure our people are safe. And when I see those cones, it reminds me on a daily basis how unsafe it is sometimes for our folks to be on those roads. Whether they are map workers or maintenance workers, they're very important to us, and they're very important to the traveling public, and we sometimes take them for granted. Well, work zones are so dangerous because they're unexpected. Every day it's a different environment. And remember, unlike what I have in my office or what you may have in your office, the work zone offices are used with people in their cars, 18-wheelers, many of them driving above the speed limit, many of them using their phones and are being distracted. And so when you think about traveling through those work zones, whether it's cranes moving or barriers being put in place or concrete being poured, it's important to be alert. You will see videos not just from Louisiana but all around the country where folks talk about the driver behavior that's happening in those construction zones where cars just choose not to move over, in part because of congestion, but in part because of a distraction and not really paying attention to what's happening on the road. We have at any given time, we've probably got about 300 construction zones across the state of Louisiana. But remember, this also includes maintenance work. And so wherever we have a maintenance worker, that's going to be considered a construction zone. If we're changing a sign, if we're doing an extreme mowing contract, or if we're filling a pothole, those are pop-up, if you will, construction zones. And there are a number of them, too many to really count in advance, but those are not the 300 plus contracts that have been awarded to private sector construction. And so all across the state of Louisiana, you're going to see construction zones. We're so very proud of what this administration has been able to do to grow our system, but more importantly, we're putting work zones out there, building roundabouts, widening the interstate, changing bridges, putting up guardrails, a number of things to help keep you, our traveling public, safe. You can go to www.dotd.la.gov and learn a little bit more about our construction zones. You can also participate in 511la.org to be aware of what's happening before you leave. And then look at the website for National Work Zone Awareness Week, where you will see other examples of campaigns as well as advice and guidances on what to do in those construction zones.